Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Perfect World based on novel. So let's start. In the past, inside the immortal medicine garden, he had seen all life earth as well, grasped by the white tortoise carrying immortal. Back then, Shahao had previously suspected that the long life medicine might be produced by a great immortal king. However, there was no proof, only speculation. Now, he saw quite a bit of all life earth before him, enough to compare to the amount in immortal medicine garden, the scope about 1 jong. Don't tell me that there is a female immortal queen buried underneath. Shahao said softly, his mind becoming a bit nervous. He already walked forward, facing this expanse of divine earth. All life earth was like sand, each granule sparkling, suffused with blue light, and erupting with dazzling brilliance, creating a hazy expanse. Smoke rose like multicolored clouds, overflowing with multicolored light and essence. Regardless of how one looked at it, it was extremely pure and holy, not like earth, but instead like the combination of all types of precious gems that were crushed and then later stored here. Shahao used magical force to separate the all-life earth, digging into it bit by bit, wishing to see what exactly was underneath. Suddenly, after undoing a bit of sand, he saw a snow-white jade foot. It wasn't large, but sparkling and pure white like a jade sculpture. Fucking hell. Even though he had previously guessed that there might be a corpse buried underneath, when he truly dug something out, he was still startled. Shahao carefully touched it. It was soft and gentle, seemingly still possessing heat, full of elasticity. He couldn't help but sigh. All life earth was astonishing after all, able to prevent a creature from decaying. Even after all this time, it still didn't rot, still looking like it was full of life. Was it really an immortal king? In the present world, there weren't any immortals anymore, there was no way anyone could reach that step. There would never be that type of person seen again. There are no living immortals, but being able to take a look at a dead immortal isn't bad either. Shahao said to himself. He wanted to see what an immortal king that was still intact was like, what kind of places they were different in. Only, he was a bit suspicious. This immortal king didn't release any terrifying aura, nor were there any world-shocking fluctuations that were released. It was a bit different from the immortal corpses he saw before. Kai. Suddenly, a streak of sword light swept out, hacking at Shahao's shoulder. With a pu sound, bloody light surged. If not for him dodging fast enough, his head would have been removed. This sword radiance was extremely sharp, able to hack through all before it. Shahao's expression fell. He was already standing 100 jong away, his movements incomparably fast. There are formations. His eyes flickered with radiance. He displayed magical force from far away, separating the all-life earth. This was originally a profound and complex formation, but due to some unknown reason, that formation was damaged, now already in a bad state. It seemed to have gone through flames, those formation materials all melting. Good thing something happened to it, or else it really would be troublesome. Shahao said. This time, he didn't act politely. After walking over, he directly grabbed that woman's ankles, directly pulling her out. It had to be said that this woman had a perfect body, her jade foot perfect, and then the pair of legs that were revealed were long and straight, snow-white like jade, wonderful to the point of leaving others in admiration. The lower parts of her legs were revealed, the crucial parts and others covered in dark gold armor. Her snow-white skin and armor flickering with dark light mutually reflected, setting off her body's magnificence. This woman was pulled out by Shahao, her waist, chest, and upper body just as perfect as predicted, and now that it was in his hands, the body seemed even more flawless. This was an exceptionally fine woman, one who would truly tempt the hearts of the world. Even with Shahao's picky eyes, he still sighed with amazement, becoming a bit absent-minded. It was a country-toppling beauty after all, her appearance extremely perfect. This woman was too pretty. Shahao earnestly tried to pick a flaw, but he still couldn't find any. She was full of life, as if still alive, her skin warm, possessing astonishing elasticity. Her beautiful eyes were tightly shut, like a sleeping fairy, peaceful and serene, as if she would wake up at any time. This was a sleeping beauty. She didn't move at all, resting on this sand. Shahao was sure that it was the first time he saw this person's appearance. What a pity that she died, or else this type of exceptional beauty might very well be a true immortal. If I could keep her by my side as a servant girl, just the thought alone would move one's heart. Shahao said. Of course, this was just his own nonsensical wishful thinking, There was no way he could directly say this to a living true immortal, but saying a few sentences like this randomly was still okay. Yi, something's not right. Xiahao turned pale with fright, taking 2 steps backwards. It was because he discovered that this woman's long eyelashes were moving, as if her eyes were going to open. Moreover, he felt a wave of extremely familiar feeling. How could this be? This woman, even though her appearance was matchless, a truly gorgeous beauty, he had never met her before. This appearance didn't match any of his acquaintances. Why did he feel such a familiar feeling? Ripples undulated. This woman shone, her flesh sparkling, and air began to pass through the end of her nose, starting to revive. Xiahao was shocked. She was really going to come alive. It's not immortal Dao aura, could it be? Xiahao seemed to have thought of something, quickly taking action, making imprints and pressing forward, about to be pressed against her vitals. In that instant, this woman opened her eyes, her pupils deep like a starry sky, flickering with intelligent radiance. Her head of beautiful hair danced about, her entire being giving off an extraordinary otherworldliness. What kind of expert was Xiahao? 3 strands of immortal energy surged, suppressing forward, surrounding her entire body, preventing her from escaping. This woman was too strange. He wanted to get the preemptive strike in. He never expected that this woman would have also cultivated immortal energy, her fine jade fingertips releasing a streak of divine light. Moreover, there was a terrifying stone bead that brought her body away, quickly evading outwards. Little thief, you dare mount a sneak attack on me. Right at this moment, this woman spoke up with anger, but also a bit of surprise. He felt more and more familiar. Xiahao stopped his steps, becoming a bit dumbstruck, continuously staring at her. Eventually, he woke up, saying, "It's you." This woman was standing on the all-life earth, her figure tall and slender, almost the same height as Xiahao. Her skin was snow-white and shining like ivory, curves rising and falling. She had a head of black beautiful hair, her figure impressive, possessing a type of world-shaking temptation. You ungrateful fella, actually coming to my place of seclusion, and even trying to plot against me. The woman was discontent, her eyes flickering with brilliance. Her long black hair reflected light like a mirror, scattering down to her waist, forming a black and white contrast with her fine jade-like skin. Together with the golden armor that covered the crucial areas, it gave her a type of completely unique exceptional style. Which, it really is you. Xiahao was a bit speechless. He never expected he would dig up sky-severing sects which here. This young lady was opposed to Yu Chan regardless of whether it was in the lower realm, or the higher realm, the two were always tangling with each other. Ever since he entered Immortal Ancient, Xiahao knew that he would run into her sooner or later, but a few years passed in the blink of an eye with no news of her, only now did he unexpectedly find her. Who would have thought that she would bury herself in all-life earth? I am cultivating in seclusion. The witch gave him a look, her entire being giving off an astonishing spirituality, as if she was a crafty sprite, aloof and otherworldly. Why do you seem a bit different from before? Xiahao had too many questions. The witch's temperament was exceptional, but her appearance was definitely different from the past. Truly hateful. After cultivating that heavenly art, the formation and my clothes were all burned away. The witch muttered, feeling great discontent. Fortunately, she wasn't completely stripped, the dark armor still remaining. White-colored clothes fluttered about, covering her body. However, it was still quite revealing, but she didn't mind this. Today can be considered our first true meeting. The witch said, her teeth sparkling, red lips bright. You evil woman, you, in the past, they were always spiritual bodies. Xiahao's head was covered in dark lines. It truly was hateful. This woman was too lowly. Their many meetings were all with spiritual bodies. The first time they met was in the Northern Sea's Kuan Peng nest. Back then, she was a crafty and lively young lady. The second time they met was in Stone Country Imperial Capital, back then a 9-tailed fox fairy. After that, she displayed 3 different appearances, just as crafty and beautiful, previously working together with Xiahao to capture Yu Chan. He thought that he had already seen the witch's true body in the third meeting. This is my true body, always using spiritual bodies to contact you before. You are so crafty, if I'm not guard, how can that be okay? She laughed, her beautiful eyes moving about, a look of not being concerned in the slightest appearing on her face. Who was the one that was crafty? Xiahao clenched his teeth. It was clearly this girl that was slippery like a loach. They already worked together so many times, yet she never revealed her true body. If not for digging her up this time, who knew when he would truly know what she really looked like? Shahal opened his heavenly eyes, releasing brilliant divine light, making sure that this wasn't a spiritual body, but a true body. Little stone, you dare take advantage of me. The witch quickly moved her body, as well as released resplendent symbols to interfere with his heavenly eyes, preventing him from seeing through. You tricked me for so many years, yet you still have the nerve to say that I am taking advantage of you. Shahal's expression was unkind. Hey, we haven't met for a few years, so how are things with you and Yu Chan? The witch changed the subject. She also took the initiative to wave towards him, smiling sweetly as she said, "Don't be so inflexible, old friends meeting again should be a joyous matter. I'll gift you a natural luck, you can have this all-life earth. I would have brought it away even if you didn't tell me to, I have a great use for it." Shahal wasn't in a rush to ask her why she was here. He produced a bone cauldron and began to collect the all-life earth. Why is it so heavy? After collecting only half, he discovered that something wasn't right. Even while exerting force, it was difficult to collect it all. "Let me give you a hand." The witch giggled. A few minutes later, Shahal began to sweat. The witch was also sparing no effort, just like him, expending a lot of foundational energy. Shahal's expression was unkind. "We just met, yet you are already trying to exploit others, you even have the shamelessness to call me an old friend. Don't be so stingy. Back then, I gifted you a delicate and pretty heaven-mending sex holy lady, yet you aren't even willing to help me move a bit of sand, truly no conscience." The witch said. This earth definitely had something underneath that possessed a strange force, restricting the all-life earth, preventing it from being completely taken away. After who knew how much time had passed, Shahal collected 70% of the sand, and then he saw a human outline appear in the sand. He was immediately shocked, looking towards the witch. The one laying below is the true owner, an immortal king. Shahal looked like he had seen a ghost, this all-life earth truly having a creature buried deep inside. The witch was quite daring. "Don't look at me, if it wasn't for cultivating a certain heavenly art, you think I'll be willing to lay here? I need the all-life earth to make sure my body doesn't break." The witch rolled her eyes at him, muttering like this. "How did you come in here?" Shahal asked, not immediately digging this thing out. "I saw a blood-soaked heaven and earth source energy cauldron that carried people. It shattered space, and after chasing it, I ended up here," the witch said. She was quite relaxed, as if she wasn't concerned at all. Her large eyes moved about, small waist stretching, appearing extremely easygoing. "What did you say?" Shahal immediately thought of the cauldron he saw on the ancient altar at the bottom of Burial Realm's black abyss. It didn't belong to the past or the present, but it came for him. Where did it go? Shahal immediately grabbed the witch's snow-white arms. Hey, aren't you grabbing the wrong person? I am not Yu Chan." She was graceful like an immortal, immediately moving over, glaring at him. "Look, just beneath the all-life earth," she added. Shahal was stupefied, looking beneath her feet with shock. A metal sword flew through the air, illuminating Azure Province. The sword of a heavenly deity hacked through the blue dome of heaven, as if a streak of unfading immortal light tore through all of eternity. When everyone saw this scene, they were all shaken up. Azure Province, everyone knew who it was that released that sword. It was the heavenly deity known as Sword King, a Sword Dao heavenly deity, whose name shook up the 3,000 provinces. He had cultivated the Dao for many years, already close to the next cultivation realm. The cold sword illuminated Azure Province. All experts in this province could sense it, all of them feeling great admiration inside. However, this battle had just started, yet it quickly came to an end. In the sky, the sword light collapsed. A metal sword broke, dropping from the sky while carrying blood. Meanwhile, the other half of the sword turned around and shot into Sword King Mu Tai's chest, falling down to the great earth. Mu Tai was also defeated. That foreign visitor is too strong. Just what kind of identity do they have exactly? A few people sighed, developing a feeling of powerlessness. The heavenly deities of the 3,000 provinces were defeated group after group. Simply no one able to match this individual, to the extent where the most powerful couldn't even take 10 moves from him. This was too astonishing. There were heavenly deities that fell, as well those that were seriously injured. The foreign visitors traveled through hundreds of provinces, continuously challenging others along the way. No one was his opponent. Truly boring. Reputations was quite great, So-called number one heavenly deity of our Azure province or whatever, some sword king, but nothing more than this. Someone sneered from above in the sky. There was a great Dao flower petal above him that scattered down bits of Dao laws, the scene making people feel ashamed of their inferiority. That was immortal energy covering him, the most powerful embodiment of those who cultivated their Dao to this level. I already waited for several days. Why haven't your so-called heaven-warping geniuses returned yet? What were those people called again? Exiled immortal, Huang. So dull. He had his arms behind him, as if he was a divine king patrolling the skies, appearing a bit impatient. Lin Qian, this is pretty much the best it'll get. In the end, this place has declined. Someone spoke behind him. There were 4 youngsters there, male and female, the men like dragons, full of vitality, the women like phoenixes, their magnificent styles unmatched, all of them extremely handsome and beautiful. Those 4 were all quite powerful, only better and not inferior to him. Even though they looked calm, they still gave off a mysterious extraordinary aura. These individuals' ages weren't that great. Compared to normal heavenly deities, they were definitely ridiculously young. Too weak. A woman nodded. As she looked at the higher realms' heavenly deities, a cold intent appeared on her face, as well as an extremely clear expression of contempt. You all are too arrogant. The 3,000 provinces' heavenly deities' faces all became red. Being looked down upon like this truly left them without any face. Then just find someone who can fight against us. After traveling through the 3,000 provinces, we couldn't even find someone who meets half the qualifications. This already can't even be described with the word weak, but rather that you all are too insignificant. Another young male spoke, one who had a valiant bearing. There were 5 colored divine horns on his forehead. If Emperor Clan's Yi Gongzi came out, he should be able to stop you all, only it is unknown where he is currently. A cultivator from Azure province said softly. Many people were discontent. Looking down on the higher realms, like this made a group of heavenly deities feel a wave of rage. Correct, if Yi Gongzi came out, he'd definitely be able to fight against you all. In the higher realms, there was an emperor clan with the surname Yi, this clan shaking up past and present. In a certain time, they were incredibly powerful experts like clouds in their history. In the archaic years, the clan's Yi Qianyu was a supreme being, previously slaughtering everyone under the heavens, sweeping through all before him, no one his opponent. Unfortunately, the moment before he became an immortal, he suffered a strange attack, mysteriously falling. One had to understand that after crossing immortal Dao lightning tribulation, even the most powerful unmatched supreme being would have their strength wither. Those that could live were already incredibly rare, and they would be in extremely weak states. When suffering from plotting at this type of situation, corroded by a mysterious power, it wasn't that sovereign Yi Qianyu wasn't strong enough, but rather that the tribulation exhausted too much of his divine force. Since the past to present, the clan had produced many experts. In this era, there was an outstanding figure that even appeared to be named Yi Gongzi, someone who was known to be comparable to sovereign Yi Qianyu. He possessed heaven-warping talents. No one knew just how powerful he was exactly, but those who had traded blows with him believed that he was definitely the number one heavenly deity in all of the 3,000 provinces. He had never suppressed himself, not intentionally doing anything for the sake of entering immortal ancient, allowing his cultivation to take him where he needed to go. What a pity. Yi Gongzi went to explore immortal Dao remains, walking through the great wastelands, isolated from the outside world. Otherwise, he would definitely hurry back. Someone said with a sigh. What Yi Gongzi, if he is that strong, we'll see him sooner or later. Lin Qian felt disdain. In his perspective, the heavenly deities of the 3,000 provinces weren't anything special at all, that he alone could suppress and kill them all. Heng, do you truly think Yi Gongzi is gullible? Rumor has it that he is related to sovereign Yi Qianyu. Once he returns, you all will know how formidable he is. Someone secretly sneered. At this moment, the others truly wished to immediately invite out the most powerful geniuses in immortal ancient. Being looked down upon by these foreign heavenly deities truly made them feel too embarrassed. Of course, the ones that left the cultivators of the 3,000 provinces feeling the most apprehension were still the 3 middle-aged men behind. They were deep and immeasurable. When they opened and closed their eyes, their pupils seemed to contain the cosmos and stellar streams, terrifying beyond belief. This was the reason why the 3,000 provinces weren't willing to ruin all relations. These 3 were too powerful, unfathomable and enigmatic. If not for us coming to take a look at the desolate border you all are in charge of guarding, we wouldn't have even learned that the channel had been broken. When the great disaster rises again, it will affect the 9 heavens and 10th earth. Lin Tian said, full of contempt, not showing the heavenly deities of the higher realms 3,000 provinces any respect. We admit that you all are powerful enough, rarely meeting your match, but don't you think your words are a bit much? Now, I almost don't even hate Huang as much, truly want him to come out from Immortal Ancient and fight against these people. The crowd clenched their fists. Even the disciples of a few great sects that bore hostility against Shahao really wanted to invite that hateful Huang, inviting him here to fight. It was because they had already heard that he stepped foot in the holy sacrifice realm, becoming comparable to a heavenly deity, definitely having the strength to overlook others, possibly able to fight a decisive battle against these foreign vicious individuals. You all speak of the desolate border, about defending it, and then saying the world beyond. Who exactly are you all? An old heavenly deity asked. You all forgot the past, not knowing where you all are. Truly laughable and lamentable. A beautiful young lady spoke. There was a great Dao flower petal above her hair as well, one that scattered down chaotic energy. Tell us. The cultivators of the higher realms were naturally discontent. Laughable, the people of the 3,000 provinces really did forget about the past. At this moment, a middle-aged man that came from outside the 3,000 provinces spoke. When his eyes opened and closed, the nascent energy of all things were produced. 3,000 Dao provinces, this place has quite a history. What are you trying to imply? An old heavenly deity asked. This name was too old, not many people remembering it. People normally only called it the higher realms 3,000 provinces. What qualifications do you all have to act so arrogant? Aren't you all some savage creatures that previously fled towards the stars? There were heavenly deities that shouted like this. What a joke, you are treating us as the desolate stars barbarians. That middle-aged man shook his head, now confirming that the people of this realm had forgotten too much. The heaven and earth was originally complete, but after the battle of Immortal Ancient Great Era, this realm was ruined, because those creatures were too powerful. Another middle-aged man spoke, slowly narrating. The ancient world of the past had been broken through, becoming the 9 heavens and 10th earth, which was also 19 worlds of different strength. The higher realms 3,000 provinces was one place out of the 10 earths, the name being 3,000 Dao provinces. 9 heavens 10 earths. Everyone began to tremble. There really was this type of saying, but they all thought that it was just an empty legend, never expecting that they really represented 19 ancient lands. However now, everyone became stupefied. Was what these foreign visitors were saying true? 3,000 Dao provinces, this was originally a rich and powerful place. I never expected that after all this time passed, it would fall to this extent. That middle-aged man said coldly. In the past, the supreme beings of the past worked together to support this place with 3,000 Dao, using it to suppress the desolate border. However now, the great calamity is about to arrive, and it is definitely because of the desolate border the 3,000 Dao provinces are guarding. The bitterness of Immortal Ancient Great Era's battle will definitely reappear. When that time comes, what will we use to resist? There aren't even immortals to be seen now. Another middle-aged man from beyond this world spoke coldly. What are you all saying? Why are you trying to scare people? There were some who didn't believe. There were many that were incomparably shocked, their faces turning pale. It seems like the 3,000 Dao provinces has encountered major issues. The future great chaos will definitely start from this ancient place. One of the middle-aged foreigners spoke. Where is the desolate border? What kind of enemies are there? Is it scary? The people here didn't believe at all. The great immortal ancient great era where there was a group of long-life individuals, true immortals, it was because of them that it was destroyed. You tell me if it is scary or not. They broke the perfect heaven and earth into the 9 heavens and 10 earths. The middle-aged man shouted. Based on what he said, when that heaven and earth collapsed, the fine fragments and dust turned into the stars they now saw in the sky. Immortal ancient great era's enemy, they aren't a part of the perfect heaven and earth, needing to enter from the desolate border. Someone spoke out of shock. Defeated, the 3,000 Dao provinces is finished. A middle-aged man directly came to this conclusion, continuously shaking his head. The reason we came is just to select those we could use, asking the most powerful sect masters to join, also to train some youngsters, to carry out a deeper level of cultivation. Only, It now seems like that'll be quite difficult. Based on what he said, great disturbances had happened in the 9 heavens 10 earths recently. The other worlds walked together, opening up the ancient transport formation. It was especially the case for the most powerful heavens in the 9 heavens, where there were supreme beings who proposed to establish martial manners, or immortal academies and others, then selecting the most powerful young experts to train them. Goddess Academy, selecting the most powerful young heavenly deities in the 9 heavens 10 earths to continue their studies. Holy Academy, those who aren't the most talented unable to enter. The following pieces of information shocked the heavenly deities of the higher realms until they were all stupefied. Was what they said true? 3,000 Dao provinces was a place that had declined, above it was still 9 layers of heaven. 9 heavens 10 earths, just how vast of a world was this? If it was this type of selection of the best, the geniuses of the 3,000 provinces might not stick out at all. The 9 heavens 10 earths had more than 10 worlds, each of them flourishing from past to now. Just the thought alone left everyone shaken up. This selection of the best was truly something of a grand and magnificent scale. Everyone became dumbstruck, finding it hard to immediately digest all of this information. Some people wiped at their cold sweat. They finally knew that the skies were going to change. The 3,000 provinces were large enough already, yet it was just a single world. There were many other more terrifying ancient worlds. Now, the 9 heavens 10 earths supreme beings were all discussing with each other regarding how to deal with the great calamity, making preparations. It now seemed like the foreign visitors were just sizing up the cultivators of the 3,000 Dao provinces. Those youngsters weren't even the most powerful individuals. The 9 heavens 10 earths were all gathering to establish an academy. The most powerful geniuses that were selected, just how heavenly defying would they be? Everyone trembled with fear, their hearts greatly shaken. Immortal ancient remains. Shahao and the witch walked together, drawing quite a bit of attention. Quite a few creatures revealed strange expressions as they watched from the distance. Just what kind of heaven-angering thing did you do? Why do I feel like they are a bit scared of you? The witch said strangely. Why don't you take some time to think about who you are talking to? I am unmatched in the world, number 1 under heaven. They aren't feeling fear, but rather respect and adoration. Shahao said extremely narcissistically. Ha, my senses are sharp, clearly heard others swearing, cursing a devil king like you. You even have the shamelessness to act so proud of yourself. The witch's voice was full of disdain. Her black hair hung down to her waist. She wore white clothes, skin snow white and sparkling, face refined and beautiful, a single smile enough to topple a country. It was impossible for her not to draw attention even if she didn't want to. When Shahao heard this, he looked towards the distant sky and said, Archaic divine ape's descendant, do you want to offer your monkey brains to me? There were several golden ancient apes. When they heard this, all of their faces turned pale, quickly escaping. They cursed in secret, never expecting him to sense it from so far away. It seems like you are quite infamous in immortal ancient. Those divine apes were scared away with just a shout from you. The witch clicked her tongue, speaking in admiration. This is a brilliant reputation won through battles. Back then, 7 great heavenly deities tried to kill me, but they were all sent straight to hell. Shahao said with a laugh. The witch didn't seem too interested at first, but later on, she saw that all of the cultivators felt great reverence towards Shahao. She knew that this was true, and that there was a great problem that she still didn't know about. Soon after, the witch saw geniuses from the 3,000 provinces, seeing some familiar people. She discovered that these people were even more scared of Shahao, staying far away. The witch called over a few people she truly was familiar with. Holy lady, you've cultivated in seclusion for several years, only appearing now, we all thought that something unexpected happened to you. Those people were shocked, recognizing that she was Sky-Severing Sect's holy lady. What holy lady? This is a witch we are talking about, okay. Shahao corrected. Those people's expressions all became unnatural, their faces turning a bit stiff. This individual was too ridiculous, slaughtering the deities of immortal ancient until no one could say anything. Who wasn't scared of him? Why are you all so scared of him? Isn't he just someone whose cultivation was a bit stronger? Could it be that he will also eat you all? The witch was curious. Those people all wanted to cry. How could they dare speak bad about him in front of his face? However, this person really did eat experts frequently. From flood dragons to pai xiu, and then to dragon sparrows, he ate whatever was strong. He had slaughtered out a great reputation during the past few years in Immortal Ancient, and he also obtained his great reputation through eating. It made those who saw him feel their legs and stomach cramp up, because none of them were humanoid creatures. "Hey, what are you all this scared for?" The witch was discontent. One of them transmitted in secret, saying, "Holy lady, he really will eat us. Don't ask anymore. I plead you to hurry and stay far away from him. Who knows if he is hungry right now or not? If he is, you will most likely be in danger." The witch almost laughed from annoyance. She saw that these people felt a great fear towards Shahao, all of them ranting and raving in fear while standing near him, their bodies all uncomfortable. "Is he really that dangerous?" The witch asked. "He is. He even eats deities, let alone us. He is the most dangerous living being." One of them secretly transmitted sound. "You are a 5-colored deer, right? I heard that it's quite the mending food, talking behind my back like this. Could it be that you want to donate some deer blood to me?" Shahao asked. His divine senses were powerful. In such a close distance, he could seize these individuals' divine will conversations. When the 5-colored deer young lady heard this, her pretty expression immediately paled. She cried out loudly, her knees becoming weak, almost sitting down on the ground, her face as pale as snow. "All right, don't scare her anymore. All of you, tell me what is going on," the witch said. Soon after, she finally understood how savage Huang was right now, continuously killing heavenly deities. A group of heavenly deities sent by the outside world's sex killed, their numbers at least 10. Moreover, there were a few powerful species that were all roasted and eaten. The witch's expression was strange. This fellow really was savage. After not meeting him for several years, he became ridiculously powerful. 3 strands of immortal energy supported his body, astonishing after all. Regardless of who it was that heard that this youth was treating heavenly deities as food for the first time, they would all be stupefied, even the crafty witch feeling a bit perplexed. "What kind of treasures did you get from those heavenly deities' bodies exactly? Are you going to gift me any?" the witch asked. "I can treat you to a great feast," Shahao said, naturally talking about heavenly deity flesh. They didn't waste time here, quickly leaving. Even though Shahao currently didn't fear heavenly deities, he still didn't want to be attacked by some sect masters who harbored ill intentions. The great crack that cut across Immortal Ancient's great void crack became even greater, shocking everyone. Shahao frowned. He had to think of a way to struggle free. He returned to Seoul Island, inviting his acquaintances, for example, Cao Yusheng, the little rabbit, Chang Gongyang, Shuelin, Lana Chen, and others, discussing some matters with them. Then, Shahao met with a few sect masters, speaking some of his thoughts. He wanted to cross tribulation again, help some of Immortal Ancient's experts neutralize their curses. "You are still going to cross tribulation? Entering the heavenly deity realm?" They were shocked, asking like this. "No, how can it be that fast? If I continue to cultivate like that, my Tao foundation won't be stable. It is just too fast and violent." Shahao shook his head. Holy sacrifice realm, a level where one suddenly became strong and suddenly became weak. There was no way he could cross this Tao threshold in one go. He still needed to solidify his foundation. He could guide lightning and forcefully summon lightning tribulation, and then withstand it to acquire lightning tribulation liquid. Shahao felt that things were pressured. He had to gather some powerful sect masters to protect him at his side. Otherwise, it would be extremely difficult for him to slaughter his way out of Immortal Ancient. And how was he going to move the hearts of sect masters? It was naturally to give them what they desired most. All clans' eyes went red at the mere sight of lightning tribulation liquid, difficult to resist its temptation. Of course, this didn't include those who already crossed his bottom line, the races whose relationship with him could not be reconciled. "Little friend, you are going to cross Divine King tribulation again." The 5 great sect masters were immediately shocked. One had to understand that Shahao's tribulation was the most powerful heavenly tribulation. Being able to make it through once was a miracle on its own, yet he wanted to face it again. Was this self-confidence, a type of arrogance, or was he not treating his own life as anything important? "Everyone, please help protect me. Also, please tell Senior's old friends to come and watch," Shahao said. He was implying that they could invite others, roping in sect masters to move together when the time came. The number of sect masters in Immortal Ancient were extremely few. If they didn't die, then they went mad. Those that could still be saved were already not that many. However, there were definitely some more people. When the 5 great sect masters heard this, even though they were worried for him, fearing that he would fail and end all hopes for their clansmen, they still felt a bit of excitement. If he really could continuously cross tribulation, then wouldn't that mean that they would no longer lack lightning tribulation liquid? Fine, we will invite some others. The 5 great sect masters left. Several days later, Immortal Ancient was shaken up. There was someone crossing tribulation, clouds everywhere moving. Heavens, how could it be Huang again? He's mad. How many days has it been since the last? He is going to face tribulation again. Don't tell me that he is entering heavenly deity realm. Immortal Ancient erupted into commotion, everyone feeling that this was inconceivable. Everyone was completely stupefied. Cao Yusheng, Chang Gongyang, Dragon Girl and the others were all speechless as well. They stared at that figure in the sea of lightning in a daze. The witch's small mouth was completely open, also feeling as if she was looking at a ghost. This fella was a bit too ridiculous. Facing Divine King Tribulation again, was he tired of living? One had to know that the Divine King Tribulation was different from all other tribulations. One's cultivation in the Holy Sacrifice realm wasn't stable, possibly falling down to the Divine Flame realm while crossing tribulation. If they were struck by a streak of powerful lightning at that moment, then both their body and soul would be wiped out. Qing Yi also came. Yu Chan also appeared in the distance. The two of them exchanged a look. Older sis Yu Chan, has everything been well? When will you announce your marriage with Shahao to the world? The witch waved her hand, smiling extremely happily, incredibly brilliantly. Yu Chan raised her head, just happening to see the witch who went missing several years ago. She immediately clenched her teeth. If not for her, how could her other body have gotten tangled with Shahao? How could her things become so complicated? Heaven-mending sect's heavenly deity also heard this. He didn't feel angry, instead feeling rather happy, saying, Channa, do you really have a close relationship with Huang? Relax, there's no need to be embarrassed. This granduncle will bear witness for you. When we go back, the sect master can choose another holy lady and recruit Huang into our heaven-mending sect. Yu Chan almost offended her superiors, nearly smashing her beautiful fist into her granduncle's face. She released a cold snort, and then turned around. Her figure sparkled, bright like a moon, aloof and exceptional. Heavenly tribulation swept out, lightning radiance shooting out in tens of thousands of streaks, shaking up all directions. There were naturally many experts that arrived, but they didn't interfere. It was because when Shahao crossed tribulation last time, it was obvious that those who got caught up would naturally also be struck by the lightning. The sect masters that were invited over were all nervous, but they were also extremely excited. It was because Shahao crossed tribulation quite smoothly, not falling. Soon, he is going to succeed. When Shahao was close to the end of crossing tribulation, the natives in Immortal Ancient all erupted into commotion. If Huang could continuously cross tribulation, then wouldn't that mean that everyone could be saved? Why isn't there a lightning pool? Shahao was shocked. This truly was having high expectations for nothing. He made it through the lightning tribulation, but there was no immortal pool, no lightning tribulation liquid. He understood that the heavens would only grant that much. There was no way there would be unlimited lightning tribulation liquid, granting it only once every cultivation realm. This left everyone shocked. Shahao released a deep sigh. The sect masters of all sides were extremely disappointed, but their eyes quickly lit up again. The individuals who were invited immediately flew over, willing to join Shahao's side. It was because none of them were confused. This youth was too heaven-defying. Others didn't dare face tribulation, yet he dared to do it again, moreover succeeding. People like this weren't arrogant, but rather that they truly had extraordinary ability. If he entered the heavenly deity realm in the future, he would definitely make it through that most powerful heavenly deity tribulation. When that time came, there would definitely be their share of lightning tribulation liquid. Through this event, they could see Shahao's incomparable potential. It was worth the cost to invest in him. This time, there was no lightning tribulation liquid. Shahao's injuries couldn't be considered light, unable to recover in the first instant. He sat there, quietly treating his injuries. Heaven and earth moved, the lightning resonating. What is going on? This is a fluctuation coming from Immortal Ancient's great crack. Why does it seem like thunder? Someone cried out in shock. Crossing tribulation, there is someone else who is crossing tribulation. Soon after, news traveled out that Ning Chuan was crossing tribulation, choosing to also start when Shahao was crossing tribulation. It was clear that he was on guard against Shahao and those sect masters around him, wishing to avoid them, and that was why he chose this moment. The opportunity has come. Let's slaughter our way over. Shahao chose to take action, rushing in that direction in spite of his injuries. The sect masters all looked at each other in dismay, following along. The others were also shocked, all of them flocking over. Everyone knew that things were about to become lively. Shahao slaughtered his way over to that small world, the group of people following behind him. Shahao knew that this time, the Silver Blood Devil Tree races and other sect masters would definitely be guarding that place, that it would be extremely dangerous. However, he had the 8-armed Soul Race sect master and others, so he was clearly without fear. Kill. Under the cover of those great sect masters, Shahao rushed into the heavenly tribulation. Others didn't dare enter, fearing this lightning, but he didn't care. He was going to kill Ning Chuan and seize his lightning tribulation liquid. Sinner's blood descendant, you dare. The white-clothed Ning Chuan's body was covered with bloodstains. He glared furiously at Shahao. If he had a choice, he wouldn't cross tribulation here. However, the entrance that connected to the outside world was guarded by people Shahao sent out, with sect masters' spiritual bodies watching over it, locking it down. In addition, the Silver Blood Devil Tree race and the others demanded that he cross tribulation in Immortal Ancient, vowing that they would protect him. These people naturally had their own selfish motives, all for the sake of neutralizing their own curse power. If they allowed Ning Chuan to escape Immortal Ancient, then things would no longer be in their control. As soon as Shahao hurried over, he displayed a matchless divine ability, rushing murderously at Ning Chuan. Heavenly tribulation surged, lightning radiance shooting everywhere. Ning Chuan's eyes were red. He was crossing tribulation, yet the other party dared to charge here and face tribulation as well, regarding him like a disgrace. Sinner's blood descendant, hand over your life. Little six kid, you're nothing more than a fart. What sinner's blood? As for who hands over their life, we'll find out after this battle. Shahao's every movement carried matchless divine might. They fought until they weren't far from the lightning tribulation liquid. Shahao directly brought out a cauldron to seize it. You dare. Ning Chuan roared in anger. He also brought out magical artifacts to collect it, at the same time fighting ferociously against him. Why wouldn't I dare? Regardless, Shahao already seized some of the lightning tribulation liquid. When he took action now, he didn't feel any restraining fear, because he already obtained a great harvest. Kill. Ning Chuan shouted loudly. He, who originally had a fine jade-like appearance, was currently a mess. His entire body was covered in blood, fighting intensely against Shahao. Part 1 end here.